Arizona Cardinals will make the playoffs this coming 2020 season, and here are my reasons as to why. Go ahead and roll that intro. Guys, welcome back to another video of the Arizona Sports Fan. Thank you so very much for coming back, guys. I really do appreciate it. Now, in today's video, I wanted to go ahead and talk about why I feel like the Arizona Cardinals will make the playoffs this coming 2020 season. We'll talk about the breakdown of the schedule, what I feel like their record is going to be, and what are my other reasons as to why I think they're going to go to the playoffs. Without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into the topic here. The first reason as to why I feel like the Arizona Cardinals will make the playoffs this year is because they are opening up an extra spot in the playoff race for the NFC conference. Now, what I mean by that, usually the years prior, we had 6 teams from each conference going into the playoffs. Now, we're going to have an extra wild card team coming in to the playoffs, which means the person who's going to have the best record in each conference will be the only team that will have like a first round bye. So, you know, kudos for them. But there is another opportunity for another team to arise and contend for that Super Bowl, and that's why I just feel like the Arizona Cardinals just has it up there. We can very possibly see 3 teams coming out of the NFC West this coming year in this 2020 season. Reason number 2, I honestly feel like the Arizona Cardinals are probably the most improved team of all of the NFL. I know that there might be other teams out there that, you know, they can possibly say that they're, you know, greatest overall turnaround rather than the Arizona Cardinals. But I honestly do feel like with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins and even getting Isaiah Simmons, the hybrid player out of Clemson, just a lot of great assets that we ended up adding to the Arizona Cardinals on both sides of the ball. We got the defensive side of the ball getting Jordan Phillips, in the draft getting Licky Fotu. The other side of the ball, on the offensive side, obviously the addition of DeAndre Hopkins is just going to completely change the dynamic of this offense. We're going to have a lot of defenses really focusing so much on DeAndre Hopkins that we're going to have a lot of openings with Larry Fitz, Christian Kirk, and even out of our backfield with Kenyon Drake. Now, we also got to keep in mind, we also have big Dan Arnold. Now, somebody asked me recently, do I feel like Dan Arnold is going to have a big impact in this offense? I feel like he's going to have an okay impact. I don't think it's going to be super great. We're not talking about like George Kittle or, Andrews or Travis Kelce. I'm not talking about those type of impacts for their offense, but I do feel like Dan Arnold can make some difference, especially in the red zone. He's a big-bodied man. He could be used as a vertical threat. I could see somewhere along the lines of getting anywhere between 200 to 300 yards and probably like 2 to 4 touchdowns. Somewhere around that range is what I can see Arnold's stats being for the 2020 season, which honestly, any production helps out this team dramatically. So he might not be like a big emphasis focal point in this offense, but I do feel like he'll have a difference within some games. So super excited to see what he can come up with. Last reason as to why I feel like the Arizona Cardinals will make the playoffs this year is I want to go ahead and break down win-loss column for the Arizona Cardinals this coming year. So we're going to go ahead and break down the entirety of the schedule. Now, I did make a way too early prediction probably about 2 months ago. Now, this is going to be the record that I'm probably going to hold true with, and I'll give some reasons as to why I feel like it's a win and a loss, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to always be 100% correct. This is just my opinion in the matter and how we can sneak our way into the playoffs this year. So very first game right out of the gate, we're going to start off with a division rival and playing the San Francisco 49ers. Now, if you guys do not know, the San Francisco 49ers are falling by the wayside in the wide receiving core. They're having so many different injuries going on within that team. It's crazy. Every other week, I feel like one of their wide receivers are going down. Now, I don't even know if Deebo Samuels is going to be available for the first week. Brandon Ayuk got hurt, which was their first round pick this last year as well. So I really do feel like the Arizona Cardinals will pull off this W because they're going to take advantage of the lack of wide receiving deep threats that they have within their wide receiving core. I still do feel like Raheem Mostert is going to be pretty good in the run game, but if it's a one-sided offense, I feel like the Arizona Cardinals will have the advantage there because their wide receiving core is going to be really depleted. Moving on to week 2, we have the Washington football team. Now, I do feel like this is going to be a really tough matchup because whether you believe it or not, I really do feel like they have a really good defense on that on that Washington football team, especially with adding Chase Young, and just that whole defensive line in general is really, really good. But I do feel like the Arizona Cardinals will squeak out a win against the Washington football team, so we're going to start off 2-0. And next we have week 3 coming along. We have the Detroit Lions. Now, this one here, I don't want to give any disrespect to any Detroit Lions fans or anything like that, but I do feel like the Arizona Cardinals did do enough. We've improved from last year's team, which we ended up tying with the Detroit Lions, but I do feel like we'll go ahead and pull off the win against the Lions this year. So we're going to start off 3-0. Now, week 4 comes along. We have the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Carolina Panthers, some might say that they're in rebuilding mode, which I honestly do feel like they are going to be in rebuilding mode at this moment. But honestly, I don't know. This is kind of a tricky thing because every time I feel like the Carolina Panthers are on the schedule, we always lose against them. But, you know, it's always because Cam Newton, but now Cam Newton isn't there. This is a tough one. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and give the loss to the Arizona Cardinals here against the Panthers game. But we're going to go and be 3-1 after week 4. Week 5 comes along. We're playing the New York Jets. It's going to be Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell if he's still there. We're going to be playing them. Now, I do think we're going to come out with a win against Sam Darnold and, you know, the New York Jets. So then we're going to go ahead and go from 3-1 to 4-1. Now, week 6 comes along, and this is a game that I'm super excited to see because it's going to be our first primetime game, and it's against none other than the Dallas Cowboys. Super stoked about this. I can't wait to see what their offense has, what our offense has, and just who is going to be the best team that comes out victorious. But I do feel like the Arizona Cardinals will squeak a win out against the Dallas Cowboys, so we're going to get a W against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, next we have the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are coming into State Farm Stadium. Now, the trend has been Seattle Seahawks comes here, they win. We go over there, we win. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hold true to that kind of concept. And I'm going to go ahead and give the Arizona Cardinals another loss. That's going to go ahead and give us 2 losses for the season so far. Now, week 8 comes along. We're going to have a much-deserved, much-needed bye week coming through. We're just going to be relaxed, watching some football, hanging out, seeing where the standings is going to land us. Week 9 comes along, and we're going to be playing the Dolphins. And I think at this point, we probably were going to start seeing Tua Tagovailoa. I'm actually really excited to see how his game is going to transition from the collegiate level all the way to the NFL. Super excited to see how that goes, but I am going to give the W to the Arizona Cardinals there. Yeah, you know, got to go stay true to my Arizona Cardinals. The win against Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Week 10 comes along, and we're playing against the Buffalo Bills. I feel like the Buffalo Bills are a really, really scary team. I honestly think that the Buffalo Bills, because their defense is really stout, they have a really great young cornerback, and I believe his name is, last name is White. I forgot his first name, but he's a really good cornerback, young cornerback coming out, and I do feel like they're going to beat us. So after the loss to the Bills, that's going to put us at 6-3, but no, don't worry guys, we're still in really good position. Now after the Bills game, it's going to be week 11, and now we're going to Seattle to CenturyLink, which we consider our second home. I know a lot of people are going to find that offensive, but it's okay. We had a lot of great things happen, especially with Uncle Bruce. Cliff Kingsbury ended up going over there, and he ended up getting a win as well. So we're going to keep that trend going, and we're going to get a W from the Seahawks, and that's going to put us to 7-3. Now, week 12 comes around. We have the New England Patriots. Now, this specifically here to me is a little tricky. I know Tom Brady isn't there, but they still have arguably the best head coach of all time, being Bill Belichick, the most winning Super Bowl coach, just really a strategic guy. So he's going to be there still, and they added Cam Newton. So that's also something to consider. The Patriots game is going to be really hard. I honestly thought in the beginning of the year this is going to be an easy win for us, but I do feel like we're going to lose against the New England Patriots, so that's going to give us the 4th loss in the entirety of the 2020 season. Week 13 comes around, and we're playing the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to get a W from Los Angeles. Super excited. I just hope that we can get out of that game healthy, because I feel like a lot of times we play the Rams, we have a lot of big key injury pieces, and let's just try to avoid that. Now, after that, we have week 14 coming around, and we're playing the Giants, the New York Giants, and I honestly do feel like we're still going to come out of a win. I do feel like the New York Giants are going to be better than they were last year, especially with the coming back of Saquon Barkley and Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones making a step up from last year. But I just feel like our core dynamic in our team is going to be better than the Giants. So we will be one-upping them and taking the W from the New York Giants. Now, after the Giants, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Philadelphia Eagles has had a lot of issues within their offensive line. Who knows if they're coming back, if they're hurt for the entirety of the year. That might actually put a stent in the entirety of the Eagles season in general. Not having a dominant or, good offensive line is really going to hurt Carson Wentz back there, especially because he's been hurt a couple of times. It's unfortunate, but I think that's the truth of the matter. But I think that we will win this game from the Philadelphia Eagles because their offensive line is kind of hurt right now, and I think that Chandler Jones is just going to wreak havoc on that the offensive line. We will pull a win out against Philadelphia Eagles. Now, week 16 comes around and we're playing the San Francisco 49ers again. Now, this time I feel like we will lose against the San Francisco 49ers. I hate to say it, but I think we're going to take the L on this one. They're going to be fighting off for that playoff push as well as us. So I think they're going to take the win on this one. Now, week 17 comes around. Now, this one here to me specifically, I feel like I kind of go back and forth, just really depending on how the standings look. If we're a shoo-in in being on that, that number 1 wild card spot, that number 2, or even that number 3 wild card spot, I really think that it really depends if the Arizona Cardinals can either play it safe and rest their starters, or, go all in if they're needing that win to go ahead and make the playoffs. It really depends. I'm kind of like 50-50 with this last game, because I do feel like if it's up to Cliff Kingsbury, he probably will do the safe bet and sit starters if we're already in the playoff standings. But I'm going to go ahead and give the loss to the Arizona Cardinals for this one specifically, because I feel like if we're already in, the Arizona Cardinals will sit their starters, no doubt in my mind. So I think we'll take another loss on this one, and now it's giving us our grand total for the 2020 season at 10-6. Now, this right here is amazing to me. I think we can go hopefully deep into the playoffs. All we need is a chance to get into the playoffs, and that's what I absolutely think the Arizona Cardinals can do. 10-6 is my prediction for this coming of the year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and that's all I got for this episode, guys. Thank you so very much, and I'm out. Thank you.